Trump-Putin summit, and before Maria Butina was charged with being a Russian spy, special counsel Robert Mueller issued an indictment of his own. He charged 12 Russian military officers with conducting large-scale cyber operations to interfere with the 2016 U.S. presidential election. The indictment made headlines because of the evidence it contains, illustrating steps the Russian government used to meddle with the U.S. election. But the indictment also contains lots of information on how Russia and the United States spy on each other. And Micah is a reporter and computer security expert for The Intercept. And Micah dug through the 29-page indictment and joins me now. Thanks a lot for joining us. All right, so the first question, how did the Russian government hackers get caught in the first place by the U.S.?
So there are a few things that they did wrong. The first thing is that in order to do all of this hacking, they have a lot of infrastructure. So they have to have servers, domain names, email addresses, VPN accounts, and things like that, Bitcoin. And they shared their infrastructure across their different operations. So they had this DC Leaks website that they set up. They had Guccifer 2.0. They hacked the DNC and the DCCC, and they used the same infrastructure when they were hacking all of these. And so basically, when they figured out that GRU was behind the attack, they figured out that GRU was actually behind all of these different components.
Now, you wrote that the U.S. government's most powerful tool in chasing down these Russian hackers wasn't actually a spy tool, but a legal one. Why was the subpoena so important in this case?
So if you read the indictment, there's a massive amount of information in there and lots of technical details, and it's technical details that companies like Twitter will have and that companies like Bitly, the URL shortener, will have. For example, one of the big mistakes that the GRU agents made were they logged into the Guccifer 2.0 Twitter account once, and they accidentally weren't connected to their VPN that they were normally connected to, and so they ended up leaving their IP address in Twitter's logs. And so, I don't see any way that the Mueller investigation could really get all of this email without Twitter cooperating with them and sharing their logs, and also, several other companies.
All right, Micah, one of the things that you wrote about that stood out to you was how many times the U.S. government mentioned exactly what one of the defendants was researching on the internet and when. What did that tell you?
So they knew exactly, right before they hacked the Microsoft Exchange server, which is an email server that the DNC was using, that defendant was searching for, command line tools to interface with Exchange. And so if they knew exactly what his internet research was, then they must have either had access to his browser history somehow, or they were logging his keystrokes on his computer somehow. So I think that the most likely, explanation for this is that they actually compromised his computer and possibly computers of other GRU officers.
All right, the indictment accuses the Russians of conspiring to launder, $95,000 through cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. We've all heard of Bitcoin, in order to capitalize on their perceived anonymity. But as you write in this article, the U.S. government is actually quite good at tracking Bitcoin. How in the world did they do it?
So it's kind of a misconception that Bitcoin is anonymous. Bitcoin actually isn't anonymous at all. With Bitcoin...
But that's like the selling point, that it's anonymous, and it's not?
So with Bitcoin, you have things called wallets, and those are kind of like bank accounts. You have money inside of your Bitcoin wallet, and your wallet is just like an ID number, basically. There's no identity attached to it. So with your bank, you have your name and like who you are that owns it. With Bitcoin, you have no idea who owns each wallet. But what you do know, but what's completely public with Bitcoin, is all the transactions. So if this one wallet spends money on this thing, everyone in the world can see that. And so basically, for example, the Mueller investigation discovered that a certain Bitcoin wallet spent some money on buying the domain name dcleaks.com. Mm-hmm. And so they knew that whoever was behind DC Leaks controlled that Bitcoin wallet. Then they can tell all of the other transactions that Bitcoin wallet we're spending money on belong to the same people.